Welcome everyone. Today I'll be showing you guys 7 simple steps for starting out in Manor Lords. I've checked out quite a few beginner guides already that go deep into details, but I found they can get a little confusing for new players with all of the additional information. So here are 7 simple steps with a few added tips thrown in there so you guys don't make the same mistakes I did when I was starting out. If you guys want to see more videos with more details about certain topics or just about Manor Lords or other games in general, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to want to do is check for underground water. We'll need to place a well over the water for our burgage plots so our villagers have drinking water. And we will want our burgage plots close to that well since it will help us upgrade our plots in the future. The next thing we're going to want to check is our emmer or wheat fertility. This will tell us where it's best for us to plant our crops and prevent us from building on top of good soil. Now that we know where we should build, the first thing we need to construct is going to be our logging camp. The logging camp will generate more timber, which is necessary for building everything else we will need. Just a tip, consider building your logging camp close to trees to increase efficiency. Also keep in mind that the logging camp will use your ox to transport trees as needed. Now that we know where to build, and we have more building resources being gathered by our logging camp, we are ready to get these homeless people out of those tents. Click on the construction tab or click C on your keyboard and go over to the residential tab. Select the burgage plot and mark your starting points. The first 2 points you will place will be the front of your plot. We're going to want these 2 plots attached to roads for easy transport. I've found that 2 ticks over is usually the sweet spot for what we want to do. The next 2 points will determine the size of your plot. We're going to want a backyard extension for more resources, and we also want the plot to be wide enough for an additional family. Be careful with this because if you go too wide, it will just make multiple houses as shown here. We're going to want to see something more like this, with the house with a little plus sign and the hammer inside the house for the backyard extension. And then just repeat that process until you have enough burgage plots for all of the homeless families. Keep in mind that we will need to upgrade the plot for an additional family to move in after initial construction is complete. Moving on to step 4, we really need to start gathering resources for winter, mainly food and fuel, but let's start with food first. So zoom out and take a look at your territory from a distance. We have hunting, indicated by the paw print, relatively close to our camp, and berries that are all the way on the other side of the territory. We need to utilize both to stock up for the winter. We're going to need to build a hunting camp for meat and a forager's building to gather berries, both of which will be under our gathering tab in construction. Once constructed, you're going to want to assign a family, the same as I just did for the logging camp here. Since the berries are so far from my camp, I built the forager hut close to the berries to increase efficiency and productivity. Then I recommend building a road back to your camp so your berries can get transferred back to camp faster. Now that we have our food situation under control, it's time to stock up for fuel for the winter. We're going to want to build a woodcutter's lodge from the gathering tab and assign one family there to produce fuel for our camp. Try to place this close to camp and also close to ample amount of trees for peak efficiency. Now for our granary and storehouse. The granary is basically your storage for your food, and your storehouse is your general storage for your supplies and such. You'll eventually have to upgrade both of these buildings with planks, but in early game I really wouldn't worry about it much. You'll assign a family to both of these buildings, and they will both set up carts in your marketplace, which brings us to our 7th and final step. I would recommend putting our marketplace close to our burgage plots and also close to our storehouse and granary for easy transport. I've usually made my marketplace big enough for about 20 carts. That should be good enough for a while. Your marketplace is where your villagers are going to go to pick up food, materials, clothing, and equipment for battle as well. Well guys, that wraps up our 7 steps. I wanted to keep this video short, simple, and straight to the point. If there's anything you want me to go into more detail about or cover any other topics, just leave a comment and I'll be happy to help out. Thank you all so much for watching, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content.